Hello there guys, it's Ebird Online and I'm here with another review for 90 Day Fiance. Yes guys, I know I'm behind, I'm trying to catch up. So tomorrow I'll be starting my reviews for this week's episode, but this is my final review from last week's episode. I'm going to talk about Geoffrey and Varya and Lisa and Usman. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and don't forget to give a big thumbs up if you like my content. So let's get straight to it. So Geoffrey's from Knoxville, Tennessee and he's 43. And Geoffrey, I think, is going to be quite an interesting character for this season. So Geoffrey tells us he's a hands-on man, so we've heard. And he's a country boy and he likes to get his hands dirty. He says whatever he can build, he loves to build, and he likes physical work. So I absolutely love Geoffrey's accent, but I fear that's where it will all end. And he explains to us he's a property owner and a landlord, and that's what he does for a living. And he confesses to us that growing up, he was a bad boy, but that all changed when he became a father. And he tells us, I've been married a few times. Married a few times? How many times, Geoffrey? How many? It's very interesting to me when people say things like, yeah, I've been married a few times. Why not define it? 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And that gives us our first indication that perhaps Geoffrey doesn't take marriage as seriously as he might. So he also tells us he has 2 older boys and they look like they're in their late teens. And when we see them, they're all washing the car together. And he's chatting to his boys about his online love, Varia. And Varya's Russian and she's apparently a radio personality. And Geoffrey lets us know he was surfing the net one day and he got a pop-up inviting him to apply for an online dating service to meet Russian women. He decided, what the heck, give it a go. And this is where he met Varya. And he tells us that Varya is his new love and is putting all his eggs in one basket. He says the thing that makes her super attractive to him is that she's a career woman and that she's a go-getter. He likes the outdoors and she likes the outdoors. And I have to say, she does seem like a very good-looking, well-put-together girl. And I guess that's what drove Geoffrey to decide that he's going to go to Russia next week. And you can tell by the look on his boys' faces, they don't seem happy about this relationship. He says he thinks that he and Varia are truly meant to be together, and he lets them know that when he's out there next week, if they fall for each other and if the relationship turns out to be all that he hopes, he's going to ask her to marry him. And they do not like the fact that he's potentially going to get engaged, and they say, well, we don't want to see you get hurt. And it seems as if Geoffrey has had a lot of pain and hurt in his past. In addition to the 2 older boys, Dakota and Paxton, he had 2 younger boys, Kadeem and Kazem. And when Kazem was a year and a month old, he had a seizure. He was taken to hospital and put on life support and he was in a coma. And unfortunately, he passed away. And as Geoffrey's telling us this story, he is tearing up. And he tells us that losing a child is the worst thing that could ever happen to him. And Kazem does look like a really cute little kid. And Geoffrey explains since this has happened, he's felt like something's missing in his life. So I can kind of understand why Geoffrey is searching for something. And he wants to make himself whole again. But I'm not entirely sure that Varia can necessarily help him heal. And I think his 2 older boys are cognizant of the fact that he's trying to fill this void in his life from obviously his son that's passed away with somebody that he simply doesn't know. He hasn't been talking to her for that long. But it's clear to me that Geoffrey is the eternal optimist, and he explains he's been having lots of in-depth chats with Varia and he really believes she's the one for him. So next time we see Geoffrey, he's going to see one of his friends, Olga. And Olga's somebody he used to work with, and she's Russian. So they sit down in the garden and they have some tea, and Geoffrey tells Olga about Varia. And straight away, Olga says that she thinks that Geoffrey is trying to fill the hole, to fill the void of his little boy who died, and she's not sure that he can do it with Varia. But then Geoffrey tells her, well, things have escalated since I last spoke to you. I'm going to Russia next week and I may propose to her. And Olga's visibly shocked, and she tries her hardest to talk some sense into Geoffrey. And she tells him straight up, I'm afraid that she's going to use you. I think that Varia has a plan to get to America and you're the way that she can do it. I think she's an opportunist. And I think, Olga, in Varia, you recognise one of your own. And she lets us into a secret that when she was younger, she knew the land of opportunity was America. And she said as soon as she found an opportunity, she moved to America with her young son. And as she's talking to Geoffrey, it's kind of like talking to a brick wall. He's not taking any of her advice. But on the other hand, I do think that Olga is so dead set in her ideas that Varia is just doing this to get to America, that there are no right answers that Geoffrey can give. So Olga says, does she speak decent English? And he says yes, she speaks very good English actually. And she said, see, that's because it was her goal to get to America. Not necessarily, Olga. The world over, people speak English. It's the obvious first choice for a second language. But I feel like even if he'd have said no, she would have said, well, how do you know you like her then? How can you have had proper conversations with her? There was no right answer. The next thing she asks is, where is she from? And he said initially she's from a small town just outside of Siberia, but now she's moved to Moscow. And she said, she might be a small town girl, but now she's a big city girl. When she gets to Tennessee, she's really not going to like it because she wants to be in a big city. And Olga said she'll hate it in a small town. Where will she show off her pretty shoes and her beautiful body and her pretty face? I think as soon as she gets to Tennessee, she'll turn around and leave. She wants to be in a big city. Olga, you have absolutely no idea what she wants. Just like Geoffrey, you've never met her. And as for where she'll show off her beautiful body, exactly the place she's showing it off now. Online. She can use Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat. The list is endless. And Olga tells him, I think you're going to hurt yourself. And Geoffrey says, well, the only way for me to know if I really like her is for me to go to Russia and meet her for myself. Geoffrey, unfortunately, I don't think that's the only way to know if you're going to like her. I think the only way you're ever going to know is by having a real and proper relationship with her for about 12 to 24 months. I think after 2 years you can say, okay, I pretty much know a person. If someone's going to put a facade up, it's very, very difficult to put that facade up for 2 whole years. And that's going to be the only way you know Geoffrey. A couple of weeks in Russia isn't going to tell you much. But next time we see Geoffrey, he decides to have a chat to Varia, and if this chat's anything to go by, they really don't know each other, and it's typical standard 90-day fiance fare. They talk about completely inconsequential things. Varia says, I've had a bad dream. And they both tell each other how good looking they are, and they both tell each other they can't wait to see each other. There's nothing of any substance in this chat, but then quite ominously, Geoffrey lets us know that there's an awful lot that Varia doesn't know about him. I've had a little look online, Geoffrey, and I think you might be right. And next time we see Geoffrey, he meets up with his friends Mark and Mary. He tells us Mark has been married for many years and he always gives great relationship advice. Do you always ignore it, Geoffrey? By the sound of your relationship history, it seems like you do. And Mary, he says, is single and that they've dated in the past but it didn't work out. So they all sit down in the kitchen and he tells them, I've met somebody online. Her name's Varya and she's from Russia. I'm going to see her next week and I think I'm in love. It's all too much for Mark and Mary and they find the whole thing quite amusing. But Mary straight away says, let me see, I want pictures. And as she sees Varya, she reluctantly says, well, yeah, I suppose she's attractive. Mary, that's a little bit of an understatement. And Mary says, how long have you been seeing her? And he says, several months. Several months, Geoffrey. 2 months. You've been speaking to her for 2 months. And Mark tells producers that Geoffrey is very impulsive. And he pretty much says he thinks he's going on a wild goose chase. And Mary seems very upset. And I think this season Mary might well be quite a key character in this little relationship. Because she quick fires questions at him. She says, why are you going to meet women in another country? Why are you looking in Russia? Geoffrey, you're a good looking guy. Do you know that? Mary, yes, he does know that. And Mary says, why am I not good enough? And she tells producers she had hopes that her and Geoffrey would get together one day. But it looks like maybe that's not going to happen. And she says she thinks that Geoffrey's blind. But Geoffrey says he isn't. He's attracted to Mary's beauty, but for some reason they just make better friends than lovers. It just never seems to work. But Mary clearly still fancies him, and she goes for the jugular. She says, does Varia know about your past? And Geoffrey said, well, no, she doesn't. Oh, Geoffrey, you need to keep Varia and Mary away from each other, because I think Mary will almost certainly be letting bombs drop if she meets Varia. She's certainly going to be a fly in the ointment of your relationship. And that's where we leave Geoffrey for this week. So guys, tell me what you think. Do you think that Varia is going to run a million miles away when she finds out Geoffrey's bad boy past? Or do you think she'll think, well, he was so young, it's not a big deal, it's many years ago? But the main thing I'd like to find out from you guys is, do you think that Mary is going to be an antagonist? I think almost certainly she is. I think she's going to do everything she can to put a spoke in the wheels of this relationship. Let me know in comments down below. So next up, Lisa and Usman. And Lisa is 52 from Pennsylvania and Usman is 30 and he's from Nigeria. And when we first meet Lisa, she's having a full body wax. And she tells the lady that's waxing her that she's on her way to Nigeria and that's the reason for her wax. She tells her also that it's her first time leaving the USA. And when she goes to have her bikini wax done, she helpfully informs us all that she's having everything off. Lisa, too much information. In fact, concerning your body hair, I think it's fair to say any information is too much information. So Lisa tells us she has a 15-year-old daughter who she's currently embarrassing and that she works in a hospice. She said she met Usman, her fiance, on Facebook when he messaged her. They've been talking for 2 years now, and she said the whole relationship has just been so exciting to her because she's talking to somebody who's 20 odd years younger than her. She said that Usman was really flirtatious right from the jump, and she said she realises that Nigerians are known for scamming, but Usman looks really trustworthy, and she thought, well, I'll just give him a chance. And I'd like to ask Lisa, what does really trustworthy look like? It seems to me that you know something that nobody else knows. Please tell all, what does trustworthy look like? And she continues to embarrass her daughter and herself when she tells us all that Usman has seen her naked and he was most definitely turned on. And when he said that he loved her, she was so shocked. Really, Lisa? And what was the reason for your shock? Well, that's because he's a famous rapper, entertainer and celebrity in Nigeria. She said she couldn't believe that she was with a celebrity and that he was so interested in her. Well, neither could Ebird, so I immediately stopped what I was doing to search for him on the World Wide Web. His celebrity name is Sojaboy, not to be confused with Sojaboy, the American rapper of exactly the same name. But no matter how hard I searched, I could find no mention of Lisa's Sojaboy. I couldn't find a record, I literally couldn't find anything. So I decided to track him down the only way I knew how. I found Lisa's Instagram page, and that led me directly to Sojaboy. So Sojaboy has 22 posts and just over 10,000 followers. And he claims his old account was hacked at 25,000 followers. So why haven't people refollowed you then? And also, why haven't you reposted all of your old photos? Maybe when they hacked you, they stole all of your old performances and your old photos. Let's have a look at one of your performances, shall we? And I think this will help to clarify a little further the level of your fame. Oh, Sojaboy, with audience interaction like that, you'll have your IG followers back up to 25 grand in no time. And next, Lisa tells us he wrote a song for her. And when I hear this song, I can't help but think it's less of a song and more of a ringtone, but it does happen to name check her at the start of the song. And Lisa tells us he's written this song specifically for me. Lisa, I very much doubt it's about you. He sings one line over and over in the song, baby girl, I'm in love with you. And Lisa's lots of things, but a baby girl she isn't. But Lisa lets us know that she too checks out his social media. I hope it doesn't take her as long as it took me. And she checks out what his thirsty fans message him. And the one thing that irritates Lisa about this whole relationship is all of the girls that message him saying, I love you and you're amazing. And so Lisa screenshots all of this and then she sends them to Usman and asks him, how do you know this girl? Lisa, if he is genuinely famous, he's not going to know who everybody is. Come on now. And next time we see her, she's talking to one of her friends. And she tells her, when I get to Nigeria, we'll definitely be getting married. And her friend said, but you've never even slept with him. What happens if the sex is whack? But Lisa has no such worries. Lisa tells her, I've got a secret weapon. What's your secret weapon, Lisa? She lets us know that Usman has never ever had sex without a condom. So she's going to have unprotected sex with Usman when she gets to Nigeria, and it's going to be so amazing for him that she thinks he'll be hooked. So Lisa, what you're saying is that your secret weapon is your vagina. We've just watched you have it waxed. How is it a secret? Oh Lord. And then her friend said, you're absolutely crazy. And Lisa said, nope, I feel absolutely safe. I've just had him tested for AIDS and he's all clear. And she makes it sound as if she's talking about some sort of dog that she's just had checked for fleas. Lisa, you only have his word for it that he doesn't have AIDS or any other STD. Given that you've never met him and that you don't know him, this plan is one of the most ridiculous plans I think I've ever heard. And even her friend said, she's delusional. She really needs to be careful. He's a rapper, he's a celebrity. Debatable. And she said, no disrespect to Lisa, but if he's got all these thousands of followers, why has he chosen Lisa? She thinks it's because he wants to get to America. And Lisa said, nope, he calls me 25 times a day. He's written a song about me and he's proposed. Lisa, I say to you, he's a liar. He's also a scammer. And he lacks talent. And Lisa said the only worry I have about Usman is his female fans. So guys, tell me what you think. As we know, just a couple of weeks ago the president has seen fit to add Nigeria to the list of countries that cannot emigrate to America. So regardless of whether they get married or not, I don't know how Usman thinks he's going to find his way onto US soil. But in my mind it goes without saying, the only reason that he wants to come is to further his so-called music career. So the question I'd like you guys to weigh in on is, what do you think is going to hold Sojaboy back more? His lack of talent or Lisa scaring off his fans one by one? Please put your comments down below what you think of this relationship, and I'll be back very soon with my review of this week's Before the 90 Days. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you very soon. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.